With the ending of the 2024 NBA draft, lots of teams were able to retool, rebuild, and upgrade their core of players. It's always an exciting part of the year when you get to see the new prospects that are going to make their statement on the league. And then we see the differences between the teams choosing for upsides, and then we see teams just trying to find a plug-and-play player, and then you're finding their next all-star, your next takeover dude, your next MJ, your next LeBron, your next Curry. From the pool of players available, you're trying to find a new identity if you're a rebuilding team to eventually move forward and contend in the future. And if your team happens to hit big, that can change the trajectory of your whole squad. And if the players develop properly, you can become a serious contender in the years to come. As I look through the draft as a total, there's so many winners and losers, but there's also so many exciting teams that I look forward to watching next year. As an occupant of the DMV, one of the most exciting teams to watch next year will indeed be the Washington Wizards. Now believe me, it's been years of tanking. It hasn't been the same since John Wall, Bradley Beal, Gilbert Arenas has been in the arena. But with the pickups they had in this draft, they are definitely my number one team to be one of the most exciting young teams to watch. They came into the draft with the second pick, the 26th pick, and the 52nd pick. And they came out with Alex Sarr, who was believed to be number one almost up until draft night, where the Hawks ended up selecting Zachary Risacher. And also what happened before draft night, they had deal with the Portland Trailblazers for the 14th pick, ended up giving Denny Advia up for the 14th pick, Malcolm Brogdon, and some future second round picks. Many, including myself, at first would have thought that losing Denny Avdia and an integral piece of their defense would hurt them in the long run, but they ended up retooling that defense with a 7-1 monster in Alex Sarr. They still have Bilal Coulibaly, who's budding and still a young prospect that's developing his offensive game, and still have other two picks in the first round that have upside defensive tools that will greatly improve their defense for years to come. With Keyshawn's height and reach, he has some potential to be able to make an impact on defense for this growing Wizards crew. He has the tools to get in the passing lanes, help defenders out, trap his offensive man, be sneaky on the help side block, the weak side block. But his main strength for this team will be shooting. He shot 41% from three on a little bit over 4 attempts, and that will be the biggest thing for the Wizards, spacing that floor, letting defenders get to work, drive and kick. They play with the highest pace in the league. You going to drive to the paint, push the pace, get them transition threes going, and he's going to get them to fall. Another thing that makes him so special is he also can take over as a secondary playmaker and make plays for his teammates. Although the volume was kind of minimal for the playmaking, but he has the ability to make plays for others along with his shooting. But the shooting is going to be a strong point for this team moving forward. That pace, along with his playmaking feel for the game, is going to be dangerous for teams facing off with the Wizards. I will admit, one of the main reasons the Wizards are a team I find very exciting to watch is because they drafted my second favorite player in this draft class, Bub Carrington, out of Pitt. This guy was a straight bucket getter, so young, but just has such a great pace and feel he plays with. You know, he's going to go with that tween team. He's going to that midi. He's just going to drop it. Whether it's a tough shot or not, he's making it. What I love the most about his game is that he's getting to his spots. He's also making plays for his teammates. He's very unselfish. That midi is his bread and butter, though. Don't give him that midi. I don't know what the Wizards plan to do with Jordan Poole, but this is a guy that can fill it up as well, and he could get some mentorship from him if Jordan Poole was willing to buy in on it. And also, if Malcolm Brogdon is staying, which I highly doubt he is, he also can teach him to take, a little bit more reads, break down the defense at a playmaking level as well. And he's also a local, so that's also a plus. And then when it comes to this guy, the person they drafted second overall, there's nothing much more that can be said but this clip right here. Who wouldn't want this tall dude that's switching over to different types of players out there guarding a guard with some great handle and great offensive production, and he's strapping him? There's nothing more that can be said. The Wizards won with this pick alone. He's out there hustling on defense, switching with everybody, and he's guarding your team's best player and locking him up, forcing turnovers, making him make mistakes. These guys definitely will bring a lot to the city. So much excitement, so much growth. They're going to embrace all the culture, and the fans should be getting excited about how much greatness they will bring to their team for the next couple years. Not that this is going in any particular order, but you would think that the Spurs would be one of the first teams that I would say is one of the most exciting. They are still going to be an exciting team to watch next year. This wasn't the first on my radar, but they will be second. Not that this is a ranking, but they had their number one pick last year in Wemby, and he's only going to get better this year. Something about San Antonio and number one picks, man, it just hits a little bit different. From David Robinson to Tim Duncan, now to Victor Wembanyama, they just seem to hit the jackpot. And that's what number one picks are supposed to be, yo, jackpot, your franchise cornerstone, your franchise turnaround. And boy, the new assets they done acquired in this draft to add to the product that is Wemby and the Spurs. Oh my goodness, the West is going to be a little bit more hectic next year. Going into this draft, it was an opportunity for the Spurs to pair Wemby with a great point guard that was just going to feed him the rock, because there was lots of players in the team last year that they would see Wemby and just not choose to get the easy assist, the easy bucket. Mind you, the Spurs were number one in the league in assist percentage and assist ratio, also third in pace, so they was playing fast. Almost all their buckets were assisted, but it could have been way more. I don't know what could be more than number one in assist percentage. You probably could have had like 90% of your buckets be assisted, but they needed a playmaker, a person that could run the offense a little bit better than Trey Jones. Not that he's not a bad playmaker, but they needed somebody better, and they needed some defense around Wemby. Wemby finished his rookie season number 2 in Defensive Player of the Year ranking, which is insane. And he also finished in the first team of all NBA defense. And if you're the Spurs, you're not hesitating to surround Wemby with playmakers and defense just to bolster that squad and make them a force to be reckoned with on both ends of the floor. The draft with 4 picks, they bolstered their squad pretty well. At number 4, they drafted Stephon Castle out of UConn. An absolute stud at 6'6", he uses his physicality and change of pace to create offensive advantages for him and his teammates. He's able to finish well at the rim, and he's a super duper tough defender. Again, I might be biased because he was my number 1 prospect in this year's draft, but the defense stuck out to me, and I was like, whatever team gets him, they're going to be defensively sound all throughout the season. He sacrificed at UConn not being able to play point guard. He left the keys to Tristan Newton, but now he has free reign to run the offense in San Antonio. And what better running mate to have than one of the best and tallest people in the league? Gonna go crazy on offense, and on defense is going to be a nightmare for teams to face in the Western Conference. Then moving on to the second round, they were able to draft playmaking stud out of Spain, Juan Nunez. Moving from the defensive side of things, they decided to get more playmaking off the bench in Juan Nunez. And when I tell you this man is a playmaking artiste, this dude really knows how to run a team. A true point guard in his own right, he's a pass-first player with a workable shooting foundation. He has great touch and quickness to get straight to the basket and creating rim pressure. His shooting will be a swing factor going forward because he only shot about 29% on self-created threes and committed a little bit over 20% of turnovers on his playmaking side of things. But this move to San Antonio will do great for his development, and we know Pop and his young guys, he's going to get them to know fundamentals, pass and move, and they're going to be great. And to round out their draft experience, they finished off with picking Harrison Ingram from UNC, an improved jump shot shooter from 3 that has plus defensive traits that can help him be an elite 3-and-D prospect. A big energy guy that provides great defense, spacing on the court, and has the offensive eye just to do the dirty work, set screens, hustle on the glass, and make plays for other teammates. This, along with the other 3-and-D players that the Spurs already have, it makes you think if next year is going to be the time they really solidified themselves to be back to their glory days. The Minnesota Timberwolves had a stellar season last year, finishing 3rd in the West. They were jumping back and forth between the Nuggets and the OKC to lead the West. At the end of the day, they finished 3rd, but finished off the season with a Western Conference Finals berth. The first round would serve as a tough task as Anthony Edwards and company would have to face off against Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal, the new touted Big 3 in the Western Conference. With a bunch of offensive power like that, it was not surprising that the Timberwolves were not the favorites in this series. As the series went on, it was starting to seem like that big three wasn't all it was cracked up to be, and Anthony Edwards dominated. In the regular season, the Phoenix Suns had the Timberwolves number, sweeping them 3-0. But come playoff time, they couldn't handle the adjustments and the firepower that was coming from all angles from the Timberwolves. Many, including me, doubted Rudy Gobert's competency on this team, even though he bolstered the defense as much as he did. But as the playoffs went on from the regular season, you could see that the team was legit here to compete. And though you could say from the regular season it was pretty obvious, but the playoffs was surprising to many, including myself. The defense continued to hold up, and Anthony Edwards rose to the occasion every single game, every single series. And just being able to witness all that was such a spectacle. The Timberwolves were here to stay and keep performing. Their first playoff series win in 20 years. Anthony Edwards stepping up to the plate, becoming a new and improved star. All the trash talking between him and KD, almost taking the helm from him. It was spectacular to see. And you could only help but wonder how much better this Timberwolves team could get in the offseason. Getting straight into the draft, they traded for Rob Dillingham at 8 and selected Terrence Shannon Jr. at number 27. Two respective offensive threats from the respective schools of Kentucky and Illinois. Just when you thought you had to deal with the defensive menaces of Rudy Gobert, Anthony Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, you also have to deal with the offensive menaces that are now coming in with Terrence Shannon Jr., Rob Dillingham, Anthony Edwards, and such. Both can light it up from all three levels, and then you got a perfect mix of craftiness and swagger with Rob Dillingham able to sift and squirm his way to get to his buckets. And then you got straight bully ball that can go straight to the cup, get his buckets at the rim, or even step it back if he needs to extend his range. The Timberwolves acquiring these two crafty players will help them create offense when they're starved for points during stretches. And with the complementary archetypes that these players provide, they're going to cause defenses real headaches when you're trying to decide who to leave open and who to send defensive help towards. Please don't sleep. This is going to be elite hoops in Minnesota. Just sit back and relax. Even though I will be supporting the Portland Trailblazers and their latest pickup of Donovan Clingan at pick number 7, I still believe all those other teams are very exciting watches moving forward to next season. Let me know what you guys think is going to be the most exciting team to watch next year.